Hello, my lovey, and welcome to another episode of CFG Living Podcast. Cue the angels singing, because today we are joined by Kristen Zavo, the author of Job Joy. Can you guess why I connected with her? She put the word joy in her freaking book title. You know it. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited for our discussion. We'll see which way it goes.
I know, there's so many options.
Yes.
So we were talking before we started recording about younger people entering the job force and really upending it, which I have seen in my days in corporate working at CPA firms. And I love it. I love that there's a 24-year-old who's going to say, yeah, I know there's a deadline tonight and I can work until 7, but no longer because I play soccer on Thursday nights, or whatever it is, as opposed to the rest of us older chuckleheads who'd be there like, I'm not leaving until at least 8 p.m. Like, because why? What is the badge of honor there? But please tell me something that you see about these gorgeous young people saying like, yeah, no, hard pass.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have the most generations in the office ever in history, right? People are working later. We've got boomers, we've got Gen X, we've got millennials. Can you believe millennials are the old ones now?
Isn't that funny?
Right. And Gen Z. And I think it's important to note that every generation says the one before is lazy, right? They should be talking about paying your dues, right? It's not fair. So, I mean, this is normal, everything that we see. And I think the pendulum is really swinging, right? If we look all the way at boomers, right? They would get a job, they would be loyal, be there for 20, 30, 40 years, collect their watch, right? And in exchange for that, they had that safety, right? And now both companies and people, right? That relationship is a lot shorter. It's, I think today's young people are seeing work as just that. It's work, right? It's not a partner. Like many times it can feel, right? That we're dating our job. But yeah, it's just well, it's true, right? We spend more time with our colleagues. Than we do with our loved ones. And that's why I always tell my job seeking clients, job search, it's like dating, right? You got to decide, what's right for you. You have to be honest with yourself. Don't take an offer because of potential, just like you would marry, a man or a woman because of potential. Are you going to like it along the way? But all of this to say, right, Gen Z is really ruffling the feathers of really not just boomers, even millennials, even Gen X, feel like, hey, we've worked really hard. And here are these, whippersnappers. Where did that word come from? Here are these young people coming in thinking they don't have to pay their dues. They can kind of phone it in. That's the perception of the older generation. Right. They want, the entitlement. They want to have the title and the money before they've actually, done a lot of the deeper work. And yet at the same time, I think the reason it can be so triggering to older generations is they're doing what we were maybe afraid to do, which is stand up for ourselves and set boundaries and say, I'm not going to do this kind of work if I'm not fulfilled.
Oh, right? 100%. Yeah. And it also, this makes me think of the medical profession where I mean, gosh, how old am I? 30 years ago, I worked in at a pediatric hospital, just answering phones and doing various and sundry tasks. And the bitterness, the doctors would joke about their residency schedules and how they were doing the same thing to the residents. And well, that's just how it was. And I can remember being like, well, that is terrible. Like, why you're going to have people psychotic from lack of sleep and they're administering medicine to people who are wounded and in need of care. And so I think that when you have put in your dues and you have just, sucked it up and, you'll see your family on the weekend and, that sort of thing until a lot of corporate started working people on the weekend and trying to usher people into salaried positions as soon as possible. So they didn't have to actually pay them for all the time that they worked. And there's no reward, or there wasn't when I was in corporate, which is a past tense. There was no hesitation to ask. And it was like, well, it's up to the employees to say no. And then you're in like a fight of chicken. Who's going to blink first?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the same for me. In different industries. I think I was telling you before, I was in financial consulting, super
Mm,
high pressure. We worked 80-hour weeks, and I'm talking billable hours. When I look back at that, I'm like, how is that even possible? I run a business now and I don't
right.
work 80-hour weeks. Um, and it was something that, we happily did because I would tell people, yeah, I'm really sacrificing my 20s so I can be set moving forward. And guess what? If you're a high achiever, you're never set. You're always going to be looking for
Right.
the next thing anyway. And yet, for both sides, I can see the positive and negative of us, and I can see the positive and negative of the younger generation, because
Hmm.
there is a resilience, there is a grittiness that comes from hard work, and there are things that we do learn. And I'm not saying burnout, absolutely, but
Right.
I think what I would say, if there are any Gen Z listening to this, stop posting on TikTok that you are watching TV all day and taking showers in the middle of the day while you're on a meeting, because even if it's a joke,
Yeah.
you're not doing yourself any favors, because then you wonder why they're like, we need you in the office, right? So it's like, it's
Hmm.
it's pros and cons. And yet at the same time, we could also argue, who cares if someone is taking a shower in the middle of the day? As an entrepreneur, I certainly do that, but I'm getting
Right.
my work done, so why does it matter, right?
That's the tricky balance. Like, how do you
Yeah.
let the company know that you're getting your work done in a way that still allows you to have that flexibility? Because if you don't mind logging in at 9 p.m. to handle any emails from other countries, or, however your
Yep.
company works, well, then great. You buy that time and carve it out from the day. And I
Yep.
think what has been skewed is that the companies are like, well, no, 40 hours is a minimum. The only reason you're going to get less than 32 or whatever the federal minimum before I have to offer you health insurance is because I'm skating on giving you benefits. It- so the balance of
All
power got off.
say, if you have to suffer to get where you want to go, we need to find a different route.
Hmm.
Guys, we do not have to suffer and be miserable in order to get to the good place. That negates the entire point.
Right.
It really does. Um, but all of this to say, we want to find balance in the rest of our life, and then see, right, can this job support the rest of the life I want, or do I want to have more of a deeper meaning and fulfillment at work? It doesn't matter, but the point is, how does your career support your entire life, which
Hmm.
purpose is just one piece of that.
Yeah, 100%. And also having a purpose, whether that is to support your household or to create a lovely place for your family or for yourself, or like whatever that purpose is,
Yeah.
then key into that and own it. Like when you wake up, before you're fully awake and you're still in those lovely drowsy brainwave states, really connect into what your purpose is and just be so joyously grateful for it. Let it consume you. Understand how you feel once you get that to happen. Make it present tense.
Mm-hmm.
And then that feeling can drive you forward when you are dealing with, say, Twitter McTwittertons at work, or whomever it is that's driving you bananas,
Yeah.
because that then you can look over that and it doesn't become your total reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Your purpose, your why. And you don't have to get so precious about your purpose that it's your life purpose, right? If I were to just boil down mine, my purpose is just to love in everything I do, and with my clients, with my
Hmm.
work, supporting people to see how amazing they are, to learn to love themselves, to see what they're worthy of, to go after the dreams, to make the most of this life. But at the core of it, you can be bagging groceries and your purpose can be love. Like it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter. So it doesn't have to be that you're saving the children in Africa. That's fantastic, right? If that's what is yours to do. But sometimes
Hmm.
it can be a lot simpler, and it doesn't have to be connected directly to our work.
Right. Right, exactly. Oh my gosh. All the wisdom bombs right here with Kristen Zavo.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Well, we'll have links in the show notes. Check out what she's offering. Check out her freebie-liciousness. And see you next time on ZFG Living Podcast.
Bye bye.